The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are facing off against the Detroit Lions this Saturday. Let's talk Lions. Thank you for liking, for commenting, and subscribing to Let's Talk Lions. Uncle Joe, this episode is for you as you live in Tampa Bay, though you will not be rooting for Detroit. And that hurts my heart. I appreciate you watching this episode. So on the outside, it's easy to look at this game and say, this game doesn't matter. Sure, maybe from a Detroit standpoint, it doesn't matter. However, this game matters pretty desperately for Tampa Bay. You see, Tampa Bay is still trying to clinch a playoff berth. And in order to do so, they need a couple things to happen, at least one or the other way. Tampa Bay, if they win or tie the Detroit Lions this week, they actually clinch a playoff berth. They can also clinch this playoff berth if Chicago loses or ties. Now, the thing about the Chicago loss or tie is Chicago is playing the Jags. And because Chicago's playing the Jags, if the Jaguars know what's good for them, they will lose this game because then Trevor Lawrence is pretty much a guarantee and Minshew Mania will forever be put in the books. It's much more likely that Brady and the boys win this game, clinching the playoff berth, rather than Chicago losing and them getting it that way. The Detroit Lions, each player, each coach, coordinator, whatever, anybody in the Lions organization is fighting for their jobs at this point. Playoffs are gone. The season's a wash. And honestly, these guys just are trying to get out there and make it look like, hey, don't worry, I could still play this game. Please, if not Detroit, somebody else pick me up when this is all over. And then you got somebody like Coombs who sealed his fate, maybe forever, by doing what he did last week against Tennessee. If Tampa Bay can win a wildcard spot this year, they deserve it because they are the absolute definition of a wild card. All year. 1 week they come out and they absolutely wax a team. Look at the Panthers. Look at Green Bay. They come out and obliterate the opponent. And then somehow they lose to Chicago 19-20. Or maybe like last week, they almost butcher a game to Atlanta. I never know what I'm going to get. Tampa Bay is just a wild card. They have brought in all these pieces, which makes you feel like, oh man, here comes a super team. And really, there's not the years of working together and of gelling together and of being a fine, form-fitting team. There are moments where Brady gets out there and he just absolutely terrorizes. There are weeks where I'm watching and I'm like, not only does this guy still got it, but he is baking with all the ingredients in the pantry. And then other weeks he gets out there and I'm like, are you baking with an easy bake oven with a 75-watt light bulb? Because you look terrible. I don't know what to expect. And as a fan, if I was a fan of Tampa Bay, that would be very frustrating, just personally, if I didn't know what I was going to get from my quarterback. But, it beats Jameis, does it not, Tampa Bay fans? When you look at last week and you look at the numbers that Brady put up, he had a good game against Atlanta. He went 31 for 45. He threw 2 TDs. He had 390 yards total. It was about a 69% completion percentage. Honestly, he looked good. He looked really good. And in fact, it was the most total yards that Brady had thrown for this season. Otherwise, he had 2 games where he threw for like 369, but this week he outdid himself. He threw for 390, his best game this season when it comes to total yards thrown. Thus why, looking at this game, I could see some big numbers this week against Detroit. Detroit's pass defense is bad. You know what? I take that back. Detroit's defense is just the worst. We are terrible defensively. Detroit fans, you don't need to hear me say this again, but it's just the truth. When it comes to the pass D, we're ranked 27th in the NFL. We can't stop the run. We all know that. We watched what Tannehill and the Titans did to us. They just sliced and diced us up like we were smoked salmon. And it was frustrating. Detroit's pass D allows about 264 yards a game. And it's really interesting. On the flip side, when you look at it, Tampa Bay's offense is ranked 17th overall in the NFL, with Detroit lurking 2 spots behind them, ranked 19th overall. So most unfortunately, I could see Tampa Bay putting up some stout numbers against Detroit this week. Stafford is our only hope, and I hate having to say that, but it's the truth. Without Stafford, we don't stand a chance. That's how we stood a chance against Tennessee. Really, we just blew the game against Tennessee defensively. Offensively, we looked good. Stafford looked great. Stafford is the best shot we have when it comes to beating a team that can put up as many points as a team like Tennessee could, or a team like Tampa Bay really can, because there's been a couple games where they come out and they put up 45, 46 points. Tampa Bay's pass defense is ranked 25th overall in the NFL. Their pass D lets up about 255 yards a game, and that could be big for us with Stafford at the helm, because from what it sounds like, Stafford will be playing this week. He does not want to sit out. Bevel also made it pretty clear that, hey, you heard Stafford, you heard his quote at the end of the game. Sounds like he's going to be playing this week. However, the major issue for the Detroit Lions this week is going to be up against Tampa Bay's rush defense. Tampa Bay's rush D is ranked first, count it first, overall in the NFL. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Allow that fact to settle in like a thick layer of dust at an old western town's saloon. Do you feel it? That's brutal. Now, granted, DeAndre Swift looked great last week. It was awesome to see him get the amount of attempts that he had. He had about 15 attempts last week against Tennessee. He ran for about 67 yards. It was about 4.5 yards a carry, and he had 2 TDs. It was awesome to see him back out there, getting the amount of reps that he did, especially after the whole concussion issue. That was awesome. But when you're going up against the number 1 ranked rush D, it'll be interesting to see what sort of offensive schemes we run in order to penetrate this defense. Because if you're ranked first overall with rush defense, but 25th overall with pass D, that's a large gap for both success and failure. So it will be very interesting to see what Bevel and the boys come up with this week. This will be an interesting game. I'm looking forward to it purely on an entertainment standpoint, just to be able to watch our boys play, see what Bevel does, see what kind of offensive schemes, how we handle them defensively against Gronk and Godwin and Fournette, Antonio Brown, the whole crew, the whole Brady bunch. That'll be fun. But in the end, Detroit will lose this game 42-27. That is my prediction. Drop your predictions in the comments. But alas, I will enjoy the game. I'll drink a little eggnog. I'll sing a little Auld Lang Syne. And I'll raise a toast to the Edmund Fitzgerald and all of our dreams and hopes that died on it this year. So until next time, have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I'll catch you next time on Let's Talk Lions.